So moved. Second. All those in favor? Aye. Abstentions? Nay? Sorry. The motion is passed. Report from the president of the Board of Education. He's not here, and I have nothing to report at this time. So report from the superintendent.
I have a couple reminders. Make sure you see Karen so that you can find the tax documents. If you could also let Karen know about your dates for the October workshop, dates that work for you for the October workshop, if you haven't done that already. This will be last call for the NISBA convention, if you'd like to attend the NISBA convention. It is all virtual. There's still a fee though to attend the session. Is the deadline this week?
No, the early birds passed. We still have a little bit of time, but you can't just log into anything. You have to register to get the login to be able to attend any of them. So you can't just kind of try and sneak into one.
Unless you have a neighbor.
So I'm going to highlight two organizations tonight. So on the first day of school, Servview Credit Union put together gift bags for every single employee in the district. So all 1,007 people, when they got to work on the first day of school, received a gift from Servview. We're super thankful to them for that. Yes. ProAction, I just have to say they worked so collaboratively with us over the last 2 months to ensure that our youngest students, our pre-K Head Start students, are in class. So they're in 4 of our elementary schools. Carrie's worked really closely with Kelly Lockwood from ProAction, and they are following all of the same patterns and regulations and trainings that our regular students are in K-12. So we're really proud to partner with them. So thank you for that. Michelle Wright had a PTA meeting last night, and these were 4 of the comments made from her parents, and I think they're interesting from the home perspective on how this is going. The cafe is quiet, and I can actually talk with my friends at the table, one of the students commented. I don't think I'll ever get my kid to come back into the building. He feels very much a part of the classroom from home. The teachers have been great at interacting with all of the kids in the classroom, and I can see that the level of instruction is a lot better than it was last spring. So we're really, really excited about the feedback that we're getting. Are we still working through some technical difficulties? Yes, we are, but it's just great to see kids and staff in our buildings and that they're up and running.
I love seeing the school.
Yeah.
Any board member comments?
I'd just like to make a comment actually to our community. I belong to, I know it's not always fun to be on social media, but CPP High School does have a Facebook page, and so I am on it every once in a while, and they're very active about asking questions about the reopening. And our community is very good at engaging parents who had questions over the last couple of days. And so it's nice to see that our community really tries and helps each other. So I think it's nice that our community really either sends them to Michelle or to Gary, or I even see them will go to School Personnel Services, or I see Mike Simmons' name on there often. So it's nice that everybody is trying to get the parents to at least direct them here to central office somehow or some way. So I want to shout out to the whole community that everybody's trying their hardest right now, and I think that's great. So thank you, CPP community. You're all doing a great job, and parents, just keep it up. Everybody's trying one way or another. So you're doing great.
So I want to follow up on that webpage. So that's a parent-run page. It's not associated with the school district at all. That particular parent's child is a senior this year, so we hope that that page continues because they're very clear about the expectations about what that page is for. So there's no negativity really allowed on that page, and they are quick to address it if it becomes that way. So a parent that was on it for the last few years decided when her middle school child became, this year was in 6th grade at the middle school, she opened a CPP middle school page, and we're hoping for the same thing, again, independent of us, but really well organized.
It is, and any misinformation that gets on it is immediately stopped and addressed, and so that's why I think, when I say the power of the community is amazing on that, so, good job.
I wanted to say from an elementary parent perspective, I echo some comments that you before. It significantly improved over last year. Much better to meet and the service is a much more consistent feeling. It's a lot easier than get to the service. Yes, there's still technical hurdles, but I'm also seeing already improvements over that, right? Teachers are solving some of these problems initially ran into. So it's just, and definitely didn't go in expecting perfection. And so I'm very happy to see the flexibility and the ways that how rapidly adapting to the situation.
I'd like to just say thank you. The communication has been stellar, and really all our experiences looking at it from a community perspective, looking at it from my wife's perspective, she's the primary one doing all the dialogue with the district, and from my son's perspective, we do last year not in a good place, and he was actually dreading coming to school this year because he did not like the virtual part of it at all. And he's in the A group, so now he's had 2 days down there, but he's also had some virtual days as well. And he's completely bought into the system and feels that he's getting what he needs out of it in terms of communication, feels like he's part of the class. So it's a very different feeling than it was last year when it was literally just here, boom, you have to start doing this now, right? And so we're very happy with it. Certainly, as you say, it still sucks, but everybody is working with it and trying to make the best of the situation.
I'll just add my thanks to this too, because I've said several times now that you seem to be able to do an amazing amount of work in an amazingly short time. And pulling it together quickly and presenting it, and some of it is just while we were waiting for guidelines that changed yesterday, and we write something up and we get a procedure in place and the guidelines changed again. So I really appreciate the fact that you're on it and quickly and work very hard and diligently to get the communication out there for all of us so that we can stay up with where you are at and the level of work that you're performing. I'm very appreciative of everything you've been doing all across the board, everyone. So please take that message back to the rest of the people and staff in your areas, how appreciative and grateful we are on the board that we know you've got. And thank you. Any other board comments? So the next agenda item is a public comment for the district safety plans. We cannot have a public comment within our board meeting due to the new protocols for the COVID-19 meetings for our school. So the press release for the district safety plan was released on September 8th with an opening for the public to address that plan by emails and phone calls, and the deadline was today. We didn't hear anything from anyone. So at this time, then the resolution will go forward at 5:41 on the agenda. So authorization of funds to implement special education programs and services. Moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any nays? Any abstentions? Motion is passed. Reports.
Michelle, school reopening update, 2.1.
I think if it's okay, I'm gonna start with Bill and let him do the facilities update.
Okay, we can address that quickly, couple of agenda around, no, switching to that. You're up, Bill.
Do that right from here, that's okay?
Sure.
Okay.
Fine with us.
All right, we made some, I don't know, I think they're beautiful improvements from March until now. And I'll start out at this building, and if you guys aren't happy with the new parking lot, your tires
We're
are.
happy.
So I can promise you that. So we've got, I mean, this place is huge improvements outside on both lots, and we're about probably 98% finished here. We're doing a little bit of fine tuning to the roof and some entrance way stuff, painting, but it's real small details, and we're in punch list mode, so we're close to wrapping up the admin building and huge improvement. We'll move over to the bus garage. Larry Eccleston and his crew were able to move back into what they call home this week by the start of school, like we promised would happen. It happened. Beautiful new parking lot. They're doing some office work still, some detail work and painting, laying out some countertops, training rooms, but the bays are done. The office is makeshift sort of in one of the bays. It's kind of neat. If you want to go over there, you'll just be every bit as amazed at what Larry does, and even more so because him and his team are doing something in a makeshift operation right now. They started out the middle school, and now they're back home. But again, about 95% done and punch list mode, and be ready for a visit really soon. The staff loves it over. They're very happy with it. It's nice to see when your own people are really happy. They are. High school, we still have 2 projects that are just about wrapped up. The pool we'll talk about first, and actually some admin got to visit the pool today, and it's always nice to see people's faces when they go in there the first time right now. It's a done deal, really. The Department of Health did an inspection last week with us, and we passed with flying colors. We got 2 things that we need to address, but it didn't stop us from passing, and it's like a buoy line, a rope. So I mean, that's out of this whole project, and we got to replace a rope. We're doing really well. Coaches are excited, staff's excited. The locker rooms are completed, the balcony, and it's another space that we can't wait to get everybody into to see, and especially to have students using again. We're right there. I would say probably in the next week to 2 weeks, we'll be able to have some form of activity in that pool as long as it's along the guidelines. So that's great news. And then the greenhouse, that's well on its way too. Now, it probably out of all the areas that we had going this summer, that was probably stung the hardest with COVID delay. But we've seen worse delays around here, and it lagged just a little. By September 28th, we should have the other classroom open. Right now, we're able to utilize 1 classroom, and on the 28th, we'll get the other classroom back. And then by October 13th, the actual greenhouse structure should be turned over to us. Right now, they're still installing glass, heaters, lights, shades, but it's October 13th, we should have a done deal. And again, another space we're gonna be able to do neat things in. So that's what's going on at the high school, and we're starting to get in what we call like gear up mode, ramp up mode. We've got a lot of design and phase-in meetings going on. They're going to involve the middle schools, Severn and Irwin Valley. They're next up on the docket, and that's the exciting time where people are still sharing ideas, and we're laying out processes, and it's going to be go time with those projects next. Wrapped up with the EPC project, and sort of the EPC sort of mirrors what project's going on. Like right now, they've stationed here, and they're going to be doing lights and a lot of light work. The stadium just got brand new lights that supposedly they dance in different colors, and I haven't seen it yet, but I think they put on quite a show, and the people that were there for the training and that have to be able to operate them, they're very excited, and I think it's going to be a great Also with EPC, they're gonna start hitting the bus garage with lights. Pretty much, they follow what we're doing, you know, heat pump's gonna go into high school. Everything they said they were gonna do, they've done. They're on schedule, where the phase one has been seamless. So I don't have anything bad to tell you tonight. Very proud of it. Yeah. Okay. Any questions?
Yeah, it looks great. Thank you so much.
All right. So we're going to give an update tonight on where we are as of our first 5 days in. I guess we're on that first 5 days in. The last time that we met, we were still just thinking about what it could look like, and now we know what it does look like. So we're open, we're ready. We're figuring out things like attendance. How does a teacher take attendance for A, B, and C every day? So the first day of school, I went to the elementary buildings and walked through the halls, and elementary teachers came out, and some of them said, I took attendance. It went well. You know, it was like this, they were proud, you know, I figured this out, I know how to do this, and my kids are here, you know, so that was a great thing. So we are really excited to be open, and again, in the safest manner that we can provide for our families. So if you are on social media at all, there's meme after meme after meme about school reopening. And I think for me, the funny ones about how stressful it's going to be are out there, and they're great because they let you take something that's very serious and take a deep breath and, you know, laugh a little bit about it. But this one in particular just caught my eye to say that we are going to see some great surprises, and some beautiful things are going to come out of our buildings and our classrooms this year.
Can you read that for our people that are listening,
Yes,
please?
so
Thank you.
let's give this school year the opportunity to be awesome. Don't throw a label or judgment on it before it begins. It may just surprise us in big, beautiful ways. So our cleaning procedures, I'm not going to show you the whole video. I have a few videos throughout, but I do want you to see some of the things that we've created. Let me see here. Maybe I'm not going to show you.
The plugged-in machine.
So we're viewing a
Yeah,
cleaning
so
video.
not today, yes, so not today, I'll go back to the presentation, but I'll make sure that I send these to you. So, staff have seen these videos,
There's a link somewhere that you sent out, so I did click on this one. So
Good.
It was well done.
Yeah,
Very
it
well
is.
done.
You see all of the procedures. Thank you.
Bill has been able to spend some time reassigning some cleaning personnel, so there's more staff on during the day, so the frequency of cleaning is happening steadily throughout the day. We took some of the third shift people and moved them to the first day. Okay. And a lot of people had questions about what do those disinfectant sprayers look like. So there's two pictures, so you can put kind of like a face with the name of what we're using to clean. So our student health screener is open. Again, that's through the app. You'll see it on the left-hand side what that looks like. And then in the middle is the exact thermal scanners that we have purchased. So I know if you've been to the middle school for any meetings, you may have tried it outside the door, but this is what's at the entrance of each building. And what that will allow us to do is know that the student does not have a temperature. If they do, again, if the light is red, then they go to another location and sit for a few minutes, and then they'll be retested before they go home.
Was able to take an accurate temperature off your wrist?
It actually is more of a fist bump temperature reading. So this went home to all of our families so they would understand what their responsibilities were to keeping us all safe. So they got the directions for how to download the app. They got the 4 questions in the center that they need to respond to for each day. And then we thought over and over again, if we keep showing everyone the symptoms that are currently in place for the COVID response here, that people could check for those before they sent their students to school. And then if a family is unable to use the app, then we do have paper copies of this. You've seen them outside the door when you enter this entrance. These are for adult use, but they're student ones at each building. We've talked a lot about mask wearing and exemptions. At this time, we only have 4 partial medical mask exemptions. And technically, they really are still wearing their masks in any of the public spaces, but there are locations that they do remove their masks. And these students usually have one-to-one to support as well. So I won't go to the video. I'll make sure that these are all live links that you have here, but Anne has lots of videos about how to wear your mask appropriately, regardless of what mask you have. She has ones that hook behind the ears, the gaiters, the bandanas. So in each situation, she shows how to appropriately put on and take off.
That's good. We should use that with our kids.
That's great. So I just want to give you some data. Now this data is from when we presented the presentation to you. So it would have been Monday's data when we uploaded so we have no positive cases. The biggest thing that we're seeing and the most difficulty that we're having is if a student does present with a symptom at school, sending their siblings home is hard. You know, it's really hard to send someone who's healthy home. So we are monitoring that. Our head nurse, Anne, and all of the nurses are really working hard to make sure that they're following this guidance so that our buildings remain safe. And they're having hard conversations with parents, you know, about, you know, we understand that this could just be a headache. We understand that this just could be a bad belly for the night, but we have to follow these rules. So Anne, our head nurse, she has to turn in data every day to the state and to the county for every building. So she does the same, and they actually do not ask for the same information. So she is entering a lot of information. The deadlines are supposed to be 3 o'clock. We have not met that deadline. A lot of times we're still rectifying where students were by the end of the day. We want to make sure that our data is as accurate as it can be to turn in. Nutrition. We are feeding our families. We have over 250 plus family meal deliveries happening right now. And if you ask Bill and Joe, it's growing every day. I think people are realizing they're getting back into the swing of things. So they know they can't just send money to school now. They still have these other days to plan for. So the meal plan is definitely increasing. And we're still actually waiting on specific written guidance about that waiver. So right now, students don't have to pay for food, families don't have to pay for food through December 31st. But there is language in there about if the money runs out before December 31st, then things change. So we're just monitoring it. We're making sure we get the most up-to-date information out to our families as we can. Teaching and learning. So a lot of what we're doing is teaching our students and our staff about new programs that they can use that work well through Google Classroom. So we're using Google Enterprise. Carrie brought to you actually last year a pilot program for Into Reading for elementary, and that was paused until this year. And this year she has 38 teachers that are participating in the pilot. And they're in the spring, there were only 18 that wanted to be part of the pilot at that time, and now she's up to 38 teachers. We're adding Zern. It's not here yet, but we have gone through the 2D law process to get it, and through BOCES to get it. It is some lesson alignment, obviously, to engage New York, but it also is something that's very friendly on screen for students and families to be able to use. And we've added some digital resources for our STEM courses for our FOSS program. And those are K to 5. The secondary level, again, we're adding Google Enterprises, and each subject area then has its own need. So we're using Gizmo for science classes, Smart Music and music. We're using some text to, or let me think, some word to mouth, word to text programs for Spanish and for foreign language. Our New Visions program for U.S. history and global. And New Visions is not New Visions BOCES New Visions. New Visions is also a program that New York State Education Department has put out to help with the transition from global to U.S. history as the regions and stands have changed. We are still going to be supporting assessments. So we've had a lot of questions about, so where are our kids now? You know, did they lose something in this transition to this school year? So we're still going to use DIBELS and NWEA. The dates here are listed for K to 5. They're going to be tested between September 21st and October 9th. And then for secondary, that's just 6 through 8. That will be October 1st through October 9th. And what we'd like to do then is provide you with an update on assessments then in November, because then we'll have some time to look through this data from last fall to this fall and be able to provide you with some information. Because typically we give you regions data, we give you end of the year state testing data, and this year we won't have that for you. So we'll use this as an assessment point. Something that you may be hearing a lot about for our students who do not have adequate internet connectivity are those student allies. So we have flyers created for K to 5, what that will look like, and for secondary. So this is just a sample of the flyer that was created. It basically tells you what an ally is, what they're for, what kind of questions they'll be asking your children, and who those people can be. So in the guidance, it says it can be a school counselor, a social worker, a related arts teacher, and they will be that daily point of contact for students that don't have adequate internet. So we're whittling it down. We had originally started with about 300 kids. We got it down to about 240. Now we're working with two community partners, really a whole team of people from our community on hotspot delivery. Right now we have 47 that we're distributing. We're ordering for the next batch of people, but we really need to know, is it Verizon that works best? Is it T-Mobile that works best? So we're partnering with Micro Solutions, and they are the technical people who can go into someone's home and say, this is the one for you. And they may leave a home saying, none of these 3 work, but we'll have a better idea. Supporting our teachers. So you'll see our BITS team, that's our building instructional support team, and the technology committee. All of these are resources that they have created for teachers to use to get familiar with their own Google Classroom. In addition, we had 4 parent nights, and we had an additional childcare provider training. So we've reached out, these were all open to K to 5 and 6 to 8 and 9 to 12. There wasn't super high turnout at these. The childcare provider one had a nice set of people there, and they really have been sending us some pictures of their kids working in their facilities, so it's been nice to see them partnering with us on that. So Wednesday, today was the first Wednesday. Wednesday looks a little different. So I wanted to make sure that you guys got to see what Wednesday looks like from a kid's perspective. So you'll see here that they'll check in at the elementary level between 8:30 and 8:40. That's when attendance will happen. And then each kid is going to do something maybe a little different. Each grade level is doing something a little different. And Jen's team is using this day as well to provide services for our special education students. We aren't going to be perfect at not pulling students out of their classrooms the 2 days they're in or the 2 days that they're virtual, but we're giving it our best effort to be able to meet the needs of all 900 special education students and not pull them directly out of their courses. So it's really one-to-one scheduling. One-to-one scheduling. So middle school has 2 schedules you'll see here. They have one that will be their typical Wednesday, but they also are continuing with advisory day. So they have a different time frame for advisory where they'll spend an hour in the morning with their advisory team and their cohort, but really still running that 9-period day. And you'll see right in the middle of the day, we built in a break. So on Wednesdays, there's that 45-minute break for no one to be on. Everyone takes that break for lunch, for whatever it is that you would need on that Wednesday. And high school has the same setup. They're going to start around 9:45. The periods are about 25 minutes. And, you know, I think it'll be a learning curve for people to figure out what to do with that time. So we are expecting our teachers to teach in 6 through 12 that whole 25 minutes. So we'll make sure that we keep working on that. Today was the first day. A lot of people did welcome back. This is all of us together in one space, and we'll get better every time. Some of the nice things we get to share. So our career and tech ed kids that go to BOCES, we are able to send them 4 days a week, which is really great because it's hard to learn to weld virtually. So we want them to have as much in-person time as we can. So we were able to send them 4 days a week as well as our new visions. So our special education services, I want to go back to that now. So before it was about, are you going to be virtual or are you going to be in hybrid? Are you going to need transportation? Now it is, what is your individual learning plan? So Jen's team, her providers, they're all working with families to say, what is it exactly that you need and which days does it work best around the other schedule that you have and around the provider having to meet the needs of their other caseload people. So it's a lot of management of schedule right now. They are going to continue to do their CSE meetings virtual. So again, you also don't want to pull a teacher out of their Google Meet to attend the CSE meeting. So just that whole, when are you free? When is the family free? How can we line it up? It's a very different look than what's been done in the past. So kind of creating that plane while flying. Yes. So our related service providers, OT, PT, speech, counseling, again, we want kids to be able to see them in person, but we also want them to see the person through teletherapy. So they're getting the same experience that every other kid is getting that's in the AB model. So sometimes it's in person, sometimes it will be virtual. Let me give you some numbers of some unique scenarios. Jen kind of pulled these numbers together for us. You can see that some of our numbers have increased this year. So for example, we have 26 kids in non-public schools that get services from special education department. And that's an increase of 10 this year from last year. You look at the kindergarten numbers, you know, there's a total of 8 students. And that's an increase of 6. So last year there was only 2 students needing this, and now 8. Those special class numbers, some families still chose to be 100% virtual. And we have 39 families out of that 128 that still decided to be virtual. but 89 are getting to come in person for those 4 days. And remember, if you go back to the guidance, it said to make sure you look at special populations and to get them in more frequently than the students in your normal hybrid model. And then our special education self-contained BOCES classes. So this is different than CTE. These are those self-contained classes. 5-day programs. So they're going 5 days. Okay. Linda and Carrie and Jerry work on this every day. Connectivity every day. And we completely understand the restlessness of, we're 5 days in and we still haven't been able to help all of our families. But we are working on it every day. This map has been gold for our community members because they're able to work with providers like Spectrum and Empire to see what neighborhoods actually fit in here based on this data, which has been really helpful for them. Spectrum can tell you exactly if they can or cannot, but they need this to see where our families are first. So this has been super helpful. Jerry took his CRV out around the neighborhood for 3 days, all of our neighborhoods with Verizon, T-Mobile, and I keep forgetting the last one, AT&T, to see which ones worked best where. So he spent a lot of time going down dirt roads he's never seen before and figuring out where it drops. What, like how far up the street are you before it drops? So he did a lot of work. And again, he's been sharing this with our community partners to help us solve this. We have a running list of names and families. Carrie and some other people spent a few days calling all 300 families. Linda and Joe Vicalis, one of our interns, has been recording what do they need, how do they need it, and we've been sharing this with Micro Solutions to say, please contact this set first. We started with elementary because we want those kids to get connected as soon as possible, and then we'll move to the middle school and high school as more devices come in for us. Athletics. So one of the, I think, most important things that finally came out of the documentation from STAC and from the section is that off-season workouts, they're not practices, they're off-season workouts can begin starting on Monday. We are putting out some information to families so that they can use Family ID and get signed up for which sports their student will be in. And then we are looking really to start those workouts September 28th. So we'll spend next week divvying up space, time, where can people be on our field space and still be safe. So we're shooting for September 28th workouts. Extracurriculars, we're shooting for the same thing, the 28th. If you can have a virtual club, it's opening up. What can we do with marching band, with intramurals, those types of things to get them up and running in a safe manner. We've picked a couple things. We've picked like a 6 o'clock cutoff for extracurriculars so that the buildings, if people are in the buildings, they have time to be cleaned with that evening shift. So we're working on some time so it'll be very strategic and it'll be very clear to families what the opportunities are for their kids, whether they're extracurricular or athletic. Print shop. I am you can't get too excited about paper, but honestly, bringing this back to our district really was a very good move for us. We're up to 1.4 million copies already. That has a lot to do with booklets and memos and unit tests and things, envelopes for mailings and things that we had been sending out. And the 3 people that we have working in the print shop are doing an amazing job. And Carrie doesn't have to be the print shop manager of conference room AB. it's really turned out to be a really nice process for our people to use. Childcare update. We continue to send this phone number out. The providers keep giving us updates on openings that they have, and what Bill does from then is we just send it out with our parent communications to let individual places know where there are openings. Thank you for your help with that. And so we have to end with a name, right? Because we started with one. So we honestly don't know what school is really going to be like yet. But what we do know is, and that we will make sure your children are safe, loved, and educated, because that's what our teachers do. And if you walk down any hall right now, that is exactly what you can say.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm going to give just a really quick equity update. Thank you. That's next. So right now, we're still finalizing dates for them to come. So we've decided that we're going to do 2 trainings for all staff, one in the fall and one in the spring. They will be virtual. We're splitting them K to 5 and 6 to 12. So everyone will have the opportunity to work with the Equity Collaborative twice this school year. And admin teams and their parent engagement teams will have the opportunity to send 4 times with them. So as soon as I have that schedule and the topics that they're going to be covering, I'll make sure that I share that out.
We have the formal appointment of the Board Use of Technology Committee, and this is as a result of a request or a suggestion by Board Member Kevin Ashton and discussed in a prior meeting, and within the Executive Committee as part of Board Development. And the President, Dr. Wexler, has formally appointed a Board Use of Technology Committee. The committee members are Kelly DeCalis, who will be the chair of the committee, Kevin Ashton, Michelle Caulfield, Jerry Dean, and William Chan. They have some objectives, but for our purposes, while they begin their process, the timeline for us will be that they will update their report to the Board of Education at our regular meeting on December 18th. And then they'll have a formal report to us on the Board of Education at the regular February 12th meeting. So basically, some of their objectives are to review the aspects of technology and how the board members are using those and our capacity and what recommendations they have for us to bring on our meetings and make us more accessible. I think you have more information in the packet if you want to see some of the details. The 3 written reports. Are there any questions regarding the written reports? So retirement of personnel, the superintendent has recommended that the Board of Education accepts with genuine regret the retirement request of Kathleen A. Hunter, a teaching assistant at CPP High School, effective September 12, 2020, after 35 years and 8 months. Moving and seconding, all those in favor? Aye. Any nays? Any abstentions? Motion is passed. Personnel items, this is the pink sheets for superintendent's recommendations. That you looked at, so moved, and second. And all those in favor? Aye. Any nays? Any abstentions for the pink sheets? None, motion passed. Approval of the memorandum for the Little School Advisory Program. This is a 9-month memorandum of agreement for, yes, this is the Middle School Advisory Program. Second. I'm sorry, someone made the motion. Thank you. Second. All those in favor? Aye. Nays? Abstentions? Motion passed. Approval, this is approval of memorandum of agreement for salary schedule revisions. They're approving this for the District and Civil Service Employees Association. This has to do with medical personnel, filling of retirements, nurses, and some requirements for COVID-19. All those in favor?
Aye.
Nays, abstentions, motion passed. Next is coaches, appointment of coaching positions, 3.5. You have the list before you. This was the agenda item added in. Moved and seconded, those in favor, all say aye. Nays, abstentions. One abstention. Motion is passed. The business items is a consent agenda. There are 3 items on the consent agenda. Does anyone want them broken up? Or separate? Those moved on the consent agenda, please. Second. Moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Nays? Abstentions? Approval and execution of the tax warrant in the sum of $54,057, or sorry, $54,057,941 as of May 20th, 2020. Second. And second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Nays? Abstentions? Motion passed. Don't forget to sign the tax rolls before you leave today. Acceptance of the internal auditor's report and corrective action plan. Seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Nays? Abstentions? Motion passed. Acceptance of the certificate of substantial completion. This is the architect's project.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Nays? Abstention? Motion passed. Special items. 5.1, resolution to approve the district-wide school safety plan and the building level emergency response plan.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Nays? Abstentions? Motion passed. Board member comments.
So I missed my chance with the committee, but the technology committee, what I want to say is, and with respect to Michelle's comment, feedback to us and how well we're heard by the public out there who's watching on Zoom right now. We should go, because these are being recorded, we go click them and see them, correct?
Yes.
Yes. So I don't know when this one will be live or back up there. We should go and listen to ourselves and just take note and have some empathy for those that are out there listening to us, and in the spirit of the technology committee trying to do that and have us.
I think that's a good point. Quite frankly, I was sitting here thinking that maybe no one knows who I am running the meeting, because that was a change and we didn't kind of announce that at the beginning. And then sometimes when we speak, does anyone who's listening know who's speaking? So I do that with the technology committee.
Yeah, maybe some technology protocols.
I also, just another comment, I think it was in the presentation, and I clicked on it, the hospital home, but I don't think it was touched on tonight. That's very well done. And I think a great resource. Like a separate webpage with resources for families, that's another thing.
It's through the website, it's kind of amazing. You travel, if you get out and travel along all of the different things that you can go to see what's going on. Definitely, if you have a question, probably find the answer. Definitely find the answer. And if you can't, you know who to call. Any future agenda items for board members? Any board members request for information? Do I have a motion for adjournment? Second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
I'm gonna ask for 8 nays or extensions. Thank you very much. Thank you.